Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm kind of sad today, and I'll talk about that at the end of this video to not waste anyone's time. Let's just jump right into it. Today I wanted to discuss NI and SI and how those two functions store the past. As introverted perceiving functions, both NI and SI stores information or observations, and part of that is past observations, obviously, despite the stereotype that SI is about the past and NI is about the future. Since they're both PI or both introverted perceiving functions, they both have to do with the past. So this is obviously kind of inspired by the video where I invited you guys to type my client, Christina. Quite a few of you mentioned that because when she was talking about the past, she gave quite a bit of detail that she must be SI. And I thought this was inaccurate but interesting because that is a stereotype that is so prevalent and so mainstream. I'm pretty sure a lot of professional so-called expert typists, they pay attention to that as a factor when they're typing a client. So based on my research, this is not really true. As some of you know, I type volunteers, and volunteers are basically people living in my city. They're usually friends or acquaintances or friends of friends. I invite them to here, right here in this basement, and I ask them a bunch of questions. I record their responses. Based on their subconscious cues, I sort them into groups and see how they answer the questions. Well, I mentioned that because a lot of you guys are like, how do I be a volunteer? Well, if you're in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, I don't know if it's unsafe for me to say that, but if you're here, you can give me an email and you can be a volunteer. But if you're not, currently we're not taking any non-local volunteers. So anyway, memory. Yeah, memory is one of the things that we test during this experiment. When we ask questions, part of it is picture association questions. So towards the beginning of the session, we all show them a picture, and then we'll show them several more pictures, and we'll ask them several more questions. Then towards the end, we ask them what the first picture was that we showed them. And you know, some people remember, some people forget, some people take long to answer, some people take a really short time. Some people get it wrong, obviously, and some people get it right. But guess what? There's no correlation between the eye movement type, therefore suggesting that there's no correlation between cognitive type and memory or short-term memory acuity. Well, okay, first of all, this is admittedly visual memory, right? It's a short-term visual memory, so maybe I'd have to do another thing where it's not to do with a picture. Moving on, you might be thinking, what about long-term memory? So for some of the questions, we ask them to describe a time in the past where they've experienced a certain emotion. In another video, I talked about how the NI and SE users are more likely to talk about a pattern as well as a specific experience, and sometimes only talk about a pattern, whereas the SI and E people tend to only talk about the specific experience and tend to not talk about any pattern. So what that means is that the NI SE people, if we ask them a question like, describe a time that you got angry at someone, they tend to say, well, I tend to get angry at people who don't listen to me or don't understand me, or I tend to be angry not often. I not tend to be an angry person. Okay, they say that, and then they say, well, like last summer, blah, blah, blah happened. So the SI users, they just skip straight to the specific experience. However, everyone for some reason thinks that SI people are more likely to give details, give a lot of concrete details about the past. And that's why a lot of you guys typed Christina as a SI user, and that's fair. Like, I get the stereotype is extremely prevalent. But you know, when I looked at these volunteers and when I looked at the clients, there's not really any correlation between the cognitive type and how much detail you give. In other words, there are SI users who don't give a lot of detail, and there's NI users who give a lot of detail. So it seems to be like completely random. Okay, so now we talked about what NI and SI are not. So what are they? Do we find anything useful in the experiment? Kind of yes. So the one thing that I notice is that when whoever it is does choose to go into detail, the NISE users are more likely to talk about whatever past experience in a sequential manner. So from beginning to end, and provide the entire context. So when they give detail, it's kind of like a holistic sense. Like at the beginning of the experience, this happened, and then this happened, and this happened. And by the way, here's all the surrounding context, which may be more vague or more detailed. The SI users, on the other hand, which includes the NE users, obviously, they tend to be quite selective and random, or as I like to call it, fragmented with their details. So they might just pick 3 random details because introverted sensing, to them, those sensory details are more important to them subjectively. So they choose those 3 details, don't give the rest of the context, jump around throughout time. Now the theory as to why I think this is. The theory is basically made from me talking to a lot of people, and I realized that what NI users tend to say is that, including SE, is that whenever they experience something, whenever they experience the past, they experience it as a whole. So the past and present, and I guess future, is basically a whole. So when I think of what that means, it means that when you're talking about a past experience, it's just like this circle, and you have to talk about this whole circle because only the circle exists, right? The parts in the circle, what parts? Everything is melding into a whole. So when you describe the experience, you describe it from beginning to end and all aspects of it. So ironically, a lot of times when the NISE users talk, it is more detailed. It's at least longer. It's more thorough than that of SI and E users. So that's a little bit of irony that makes typing quite difficult for people who rely on stereotypes. So it's hard to decipher which part of this circle is more important than the other part because everything is blended together. If you think of an element, it's like a pure element. So for SI and E, it's the opposite. They experience everything as a part. They experience everything as fragments. So when they look at the past, they don't see like, oh, this whole thing that's connected to the present, this whole conglomerate. They just see a snapshot here, a snapshot there, a snapshot here. Basically, they don't see time as like this whole progression that's connected. Instead, they see several eternal snapshots, if that makes sense. When they look in the past, everything is like distilled. Everything is separate but distilled. Distilled meaning it's like spanning over time. It seems eternal in that it's not changing. I think for NISE users, the present is ever changing. So the past and the present is all mixed together. Everything's changing. Nothing is stable. But for SI, the past is like crystallized. Everything is steady. So they can actually go back, like looking at a stamp collection, pick this fact, this fact, this fact. So a lot of times SI users, while being detailed, are very succinct. They're very succinct in their descriptions of the past. And yeah, that might make it very confusing for you guys to type. Oh my gosh, I forgot to say a really important part of this, and I didn't feel like going downstairs to say it, so just bear with me. When we think about the future, we usually look to the past to figure out how the future is going to go, but I think this is different for SI and NI. For NI, I think of patterns, and for SI, I think of percentages. Okay, this is why. So remember how I said that the SI is more fragmented and eternal or still? I think of it as kind of like a stamp collection. When you look at the past, you see a ratio or a percentage of like 90% good experiences, 10% bad experiences. Okay, because these past moments feel eternal and that they just keep stretching on to the future and filling in like the whole timeline, I think that the SI user basically assumes that the future will be the same. The future with this person or with this experience will be about 90% good to 10% bad. Okay, in contrast, for NI, the general trend is more important. So, for example, the 90% good experiences, that was all from 2010 to 2018, for example. And then the 10% bad, that all clustered towards 2018 to 2019. Okay, that was all last year. So, from a graphical point of view, I guess it'd be like good, 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 and then suddenly bad. Okay, so then they're not going to look at the percentage, they're going to look at the trajectory. So when they think about the future, it's just going to get worse. It's going to get worse and everything's going to be bad. So I think that's like a key in how SI and NI differs. Yeah, that is all I have for you guys. Not a super long video. I just wanted to give that quick public service announcement that like please stop typing people based on how many past details they give. It's just a completely unreliable way to type people. Hopefully you have an eye out for how people describe their details. That'll make it easier for you to type yourself or other people. But if you want help typing yourself, I do offer a service on my website, cognitive8.com. If you want to support this channel, I do have a Patreon. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Okay, so now I'm gonna describe why I'm sad, and that's because I've gotten the worst comment of my whole life. I think I said that for the Demon Windy thing, but that was totally a hyperbole. This is literally the worst comment. I'm not consciously trying to do this thing where I, comment on comments. I don't think it's going to be an ongoing thing. It's just that I can't help but to talk about it because I just read this morning and I just can't get it out of my head, and I feel so stupid because I know that other people's thoughts shouldn't really matter so much, but everything about this comment was like a cluster of all the things that annoy me the most about life. And okay, I have my laptop here. Let me just read it. They're really good at playing the victim here. When you talk ill indirectly about someone who's not present without giving the full context, I'm assuming it's context, of the situation, is a very smart and evil way to make them look bad. I feel like I'm not making people look bad. Their actions are making them look bad. I feel like I'm just stating things that have happened, and you can think that I'm lying about what happened, or you can think that I'm being truthful about what happened, but the intent here is to give information about what happened, not to make people look good or bad or anything. We never heard your mom's or Alex's side of the story, so it's unfair for you to imply anything bad about them in a public channel, like saying she is a narcissist or abusive, even if you do it in an indirect way. Yeah, it's not fair. Guess what? It's not fair that my mom treated me that way either. The world is not fair. It's not fair that Alex abandoned this channel and left me to work on it alone. Nothing is fair. Yeah, I'm getting so angry. She can give her side of the story if she wants, but she didn't want to. Okay, I think people might be thinking that Calypso is hogging this channel. She just silenced Alex and pushed her away. No, if she wants to share her side of the story, she can, but I don't think she wants to. So you guys are stuck with I would rather her share her side of the story, because then I would at least know what happened. I would at least know why this happened. I unfortunately don't know, so I can only give my side of the story. Okay, saying she's a narcissist or abusive even if you do it in an indirect way. Guess what? I directly say that my mom is a narcissist. She's getting better with age. The disease gets milder with age. And I'm directly saying that, yes, she was emotionally abusive. God, it feels so good to say that. It's so powerful to say. You know how much therapy it took me to be able to say that sentence? Whatever. I'm directly saying that. And I didn't directly nor indirectly say that Alex is narcissistic nor abusive. So here, I'll just say it straight out. Alex was not a narcissistic nor abusive person. I truly believe that she isn't. Okay, you did that tactic too in one of your previous videos, whereas Alex, when you implied that she left without saying anything and that you have no idea why. I'm not implying that she left without saying anything. I'm stating that she left without saying anything. I'm talking about, again, I'm giving information. You can choose to believe that I'm lying, or you can choose to believe that I'm truthful. That's up to you, but I'm just stating the past. I'm not really implying anything. I'm just stating it outright. And that you have no idea why. I don't know if I said I have no idea why. I think I said that I have 20 ideas why, and none of them seem to fit. So an ease, or I'm usually not stuck with 0 ideas. I'm stuck with 50 ideas. We all make mistakes, but it would be better for you to admit your mistakes instead of trying to ruin other people's reputation to protect your own. I don't mind admitting my mistakes, but I don't really know this is a whole frustration. I don't know what mistake I made. You know how many times I tried to ask her why she wants to leave? What did I do? She didn't answer, so I don't really know what mistake. I did a lot of introspection, and I probably picked apart all of my flaws. I looked at all of my flaws and picked them all apart to try to find a mistake, try to find a reason. I'm not saying that I don't make, I'm a human, so I make a lot of mistakes. I'm saying that I can't really pinpoint which mistake or which flaw caused this whole thing, or even if it was even caused by me, it might have been caused by a completely separate factor. So this person is just assuming that one of my mistakes caused this whole thing. Okay, that's fine. You can assume whatever you want. And also assuming that I'm trying to ruin other people's reputation. Once again, I have no intent to do anything like make people look bad or ruin people's reputation. I don't know why this person is seeing so many intents within me when my intent was just to share my feelings and talk about what happened, because a lot of people were curious about what happened. And yeah, you know what? It feels good to talk about what happened. Also, protecting my own reputation. I don't care about my reputation. My reputation is not really that good to start off with. Like what reputation? Some random girl who talks about MBTI on the internet? Okay. I don't think Alex cares about her reputation either. I mean, like, yo, you guys are gonna think that it's unfair that I'm saying things about Alex, but I'm not saying that she for sure doesn't care about her. I'm saying that I don't think I'm allowed to express my opinions, this random abadi person on the internet. And my opinion is that she doesn't care about her reputation. If she cared, she would have said a goodbye message. She would have said her side of the story, which would have saved me a lot of trouble, but I don't think she cares, or she doesn't care enough to like do that. But I could be wrong, she might care. You're not the only YouTuber who did this. Boogie2988 is another YouTuber who's using the same tactics to manipulate their audience. I don't know this YouTuber. I watch both of your channels because I like the informative and fun aspect of it. Leave the drama behind because it makes you look bad. I don't care if you think I look bad. I know my words might be harsh, but I'm only typing this and taking the time because I like you and I like the channel you're running. Okay, this is where it really got to me. This is where I realized that no matter how much I know about MBTI, I think I just won't understand people, because if the person really doesn't like me, this whole comment makes sense. But this person is saying, I like you and that's why I'm saying this. And you know what? Maybe that's not true. A lot of people, they say something mean and then at the end they say, I'm saying this because I like you, to soften the blow, not because they actually like you. And that's fine. But assuming this person actually does like me and said this, I'm just like mind blown. I don't know how okay, thanks for watching the last bit and hearing me vent. I hope it was somewhat entertaining to see that comment. Alright, see you next time.